In the previous video, we have seen the functionality of data container. Once the form is submitted, a default data container will be added by Axpert, which is always a non-grid data container. There can be more than one data container in a T-struct. The first data container in the T-struct is called primary data container. Further, a user can add the data containers manually into the form according to their business requirement. There are two types of data containers or DC, grid DC and a non-grid DC. The newly added DCs can be a grid DC or a non-grid DC. A grid DC are the one in which the data is accepted as a table. Each field that is created in a grid DC is shown as a column in the table. Consider creating a form as shown. This sales invoice form has to be created as a T-struct with two DC, a header DC and a detail DC. A detail DC is a grid DC in which each grid column is created as a field under this DC. Create the sales invoice form. Add the relevant fields to the non-grid DC. In order to add the DCs manually to the T-struct, select the DC or frames. Provide the properties of the DC. One can make a DC as a grid DC by selecting the grid checkbox in the DC properties. Here we can find the default table name generated by Axpert as sales2. If required, the table name can be changed. Add the fields to the grid DC. When a T-struct contains one DC, region or the DC is automatically selected. When there are multiple DCs available in the T-struct, user has to manually choose the region or the frame. The amount is calculated based on the value passed to the quantity and the rate field. A formula can be assigned to any field in Axpert. A formula for a field is assigned in the expression property. The formula will be evaluated and assigned as the field value at the runtime. Set the relevant formula. Let us add data to the form at run site. More than one row can be added to the grid DC by selecting the add row option at the DC level. Let us understand how the data is stored in the table. There are two tables associated with the sales invoice form, salesman table and sales detail table. Sales 1 ID is stored in sales detail table. So, when the data is stored in these tables at runtime, the referential integrities are automatically achieved. For every sales invoice order that is entered in this form, there will be one record in the header form, and every row in the detail grid, a row will be added in the detail table. These two tables are related by header ID, that is sales 1 ID. You can join these two tables to get the sales invoice details raised to respective customer. The sales invoice details raised to the customer called Shilpa is displayed as below. In this way, Axpert allows to add multiple data containers to the form. In the next session, we are going to understand about the form design.